right, Charlie, you get the first question or comment. Charlie writes, destroy the concept of cultural appropriation, please. That's a fun one. That's a good one to start with. Cultural appropriation. Just one more of the cartoonishly ridiculous ideas of the modern progressives. And I don't know what you could, I'm sure like Jordan Peterson could probably go on some great rant about the connection between this to like the postmodernists, philosophers in France, and it's some weird neo-Marxist thing. Look, here's what I would just say, okay, to take apart the idea of cultural appropriation. Remember, there's this example that I've brought up several times that I just loved so much when I said that Joy Reid on MSNBC was talking about the sexist nature of criticizing Hillary Clinton, and when people say she doesn't smile enough, what that really means, and when they say she yells too much, what that really means, and how there's this double standard of how we judge women. And then in her segment at the end of Who Won the Week, she gave the week to the person who made the naked Trump with the micro penis statue. And you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, you talk on and on about this double standard, but you don't even examine the other side of it. You don't even entertain the idea that, and you see this all the time in entertainment. All the time you'll see women or minorities or of any stripe talking about how they're not represented enough, but everybody on the ground knows that the only effort is made to get more women and minorities in. That's the only thing that's blatantly pushed for. That's just the truth. They just won't look at the other side of it because they won't give an honest, fair, like if you gauged white people the same way, you wouldn't even be having this conversation. If you gauge, if I had ever, like I'm white, so this has happened to me many times in comedy. I mean, I don't give a shit about it, but there's all these shows. One of them's like Stand Up for Diversity, Latino Laughter, like all these shows who are just simply like, you're not welcome, white people. You can't submit. I've actually been told before, and almost every white male comic has been told this before, of different gigs, like they're just not looking for white men anymore. Now, if that happened to anybody else because of their race, you'd have a fucking lawsuit. Or there'd be like a national story. But no one cares when it happens to you. So the same way that I was talking about on this show, Ice Cube, and this is how crazy it gets, Ice Cube can sit there and go, yo, Bill Maher, what would make you think it's cool to say that? And you're like promoting an album with like Cop Killer all over it. It's like, so the cultural appropriation thing, I mean, okay, so what, do you want to get into what's appropriated from white people? How about the English language? I don't know. It's just, it's such an utterly stupid conversation to have. Yes, lots of races borrow from other people. If you want to talk about people having tact or being like rude or like disrespectful to someone else's culture, there's always been an idea of respect. The funny thing is with a lot of this stuff that social justice warriors talk about, I mean, they talk about it in this language like someone's like, if it was to them, it's always like this ridiculous, like, you did harm to us, you cause harm to students by your hate speech, or like to them they'd say like it's almost like if you had like, I don't know, I'm thinking of something racist, like you remember on Seinfeld when they had that the wooden Native American statue and the Native American chick gets pissed off and leaves. It's almost like the social justice warrior mentality is that like if some Native American saw that, they'd have a seizure on the ground and have like post-traumatic stress disorder, rather than they'd just be like, ugh, that's annoying or insulting. And it's like what that used to be called is just kind of like manners or like being disrespectful. Okay, I'm for having manners and not being disrespectful, but the idea of cultural, like having Chinese food or having like it's ridiculous. Every cultures borrow from each other. That's how civilizations advance. It's actually a really wonderful thing.